right, so welcome back to Lightroom. So today we're going to be going over the crop tool and the history brush. I said we were going to use the spot removal clone stamp tool, but we're not. I'll wait and do that at another time, so this way it won't be so long. But we're going to start off here with this crop tool. So to click it, to engage it, you just select it, and then by dragging the edges in, you can control that ratio. Now notice it is a fixed ratio. I can't go and make it like long or square. It's a fixed ratio. So if you look here, this is your ratio, your crop aspect ratio, and it says original. So 35 millimeter is a 2:3 ratio, and so it's keeping that fixed. If you want to change your ratio, like you want to do a square image, you need to select a different ratio. If you want to do 5:7, you select a different ratio. All right, so I selected this ratio, and the issue here is, hey, I want this to be horizontal, not vertical. So it's very easy. We can just grab an edge here and pull it up, and so it switches to become the way we want to have it. Okay, so let's say that's how we want to have it. That would be fine. Let's say we don't like that ratio and we want to change it. You can go in here. There are some predefined ratios, or you can go in here and enter a custom aspect ratio. So let's say we want to make this 1:10. All right. So I'm just doing this because it's kind of ridiculous. All right. So there's your 1:10. That's your custom ratio that you've just added. So you can really put it and have it do whatever you want. All right. So it's telling you 16:9 is 19:20. So you know, if you select these ratios, it's not cropping and resizing your image. It's just making your image that ratio. That's all. It's not changing its dimensions at all. So this isn't a 7-inch image anymore. When you output or export, that's when you'll tell it exactly what resolution and what size you want it to be. This is just a image ratio. Okay, so I'm just dragging these. So let me click off this for a second, and we'll Command Z this a couple times to undo this. Actually, we'll just change it back to 2:3. Hit reset. Okay, so now we're back to the beginning. If you want, notice when I pull this, it goes from one edge to the other. If you want to keep it so it's centered, you're going to hold Shift and Alt. Shift and Alt, and then resize, and it will crop from center out and make it even. So that is how to do that. All right. If you want to fix the angle, so notice it has this little angle brush here. You can come over here, and first you can just manually adjust this, or you can draw. So like, let's say I'm going to try to draw this horizon line. I'm going to click and drag and then let go. All right, and then it's keep making that straight. Whether that's straight or not, I have no idea, but that's how you do that. All right, and so constrain to image. That's just keeping the crop within the image and won't let you go out of it. All right, so we'll hit reset and go back to the beginning. So you can come in here and kind of change or do anything that you want to within the crop tool, but you need to remember you need to change the ratios or enter a custom ratio if you want to do something odd. All right. Remember, if you're printing out this image 8:10, it's not going to look like this, because 8:10 is a completely different ratio than 2:3. All right, so now we are going to use the adjustment brush here, which is for selective toning. So before, when we were toning, it was affecting the whole image. Now we're going to do just a specific area. So let's say I want to just brighten this girl right here. That's not a big deal. All right, if we just normally do it, notice it's affecting the whole image. All right, so I can click on this brush, and now I get the history brush. And this is weird. When you do settings, it automatically keeps your last settings that you used. Okay. So to get rid of those, you can just double click on those little adjustments, and that will reset things where you want. So I have one other little thing that I want to show you here. We'll add this into the video. I showed you that if you double click an exposure or something like that, it will send everything back to default. But if you have a whole bunch of these at the same time and you want them to go back to default, all you have to do is double click effect, and that resets everything. So let's say I want to increase the shadows. So notice as I'm doing this, nothing is happening because I haven't told it yet where I want it to go. Now down here you have size, feather, and flow, and density, and this has to do with your brush. So I'm going to actually toggle this off so you can see that's my brush. Put it over here in the dark, right? So notice I'm making it smaller and making it bigger. I'm using the little wheel on my mouse to do this. Okay, you can come over here and do it as well by just sliding it, but it's just easier to use the toggle on my mouse. So now if I come in here and I brush over her, that shadow is gonna show. Okay, so notice it made a little point here. So anywhere I do this, all right, so like right there it got too bright. I don't like that. I can hold the Alt key and take that away. All right, so notice it's plus, and when you hold the Alt key it goes to minus. So that will remove what you just did. All right, so let's say that looks good and we're happy with that, but I want to take all the color out of this rock and just make it a neutral color. I can't just do my saturation because it's going to affect the last place that I did it at. All right, I need to come up here and hit new and create a new brush. All right, and then I'm going to get that back to default. I'm going to take all the saturation out of this image, and then I'm going to go in and paint where I want that to happen. All right, so notice if I go over the hat, it's going to remove the hat as well. So I'm taking all the color, so it's more of a neutral rock, out. So now notice I have a point here and a point here. So if you hover over it, it will show you where in red you applied that. All right, but if it does not have the little black circle in it, it's not activated. So the activated one is this. So if I make this brighter, it's going to be down here. All right, if I want to do something else up here, I can go back to it. I just need to select it again, and then I can say, hey, there was a little spot up here. I didn't want that to happen. All right, or I want to warm this up. All right, now I'm doing it too much so you can see where it's applying to. And you can do this as many times as you want. All right, so you can keep creating new brushes, and you can only use what is in this dialog box right here. All right, so everything else is a global adjustment, but anything in here that you want to do, whether it's temp, tint, all this information, all right, you can apply to specific areas to tone them. All right, so go back to this image we were doing here. Let's say that, you know, we wanted to darken her shirt right here. So we would go ahead and we'll click on that adjustment brush. So it comes up. I'm going to double click that to get it down. I'll hit my exposure, and then we would just come in here and paint that little area. All right, so that is how you make selective adjustments in Lightroom. Now it takes a little bit of use to getting takes a while to get used to resetting stuff, You might go and make adjustment and say, God, that looks weird. Why? Well, it's because your sharpness was way up or something. It makes sure it goes back to its default. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. You learned a little bit about the crop tool and the adjustment brush, and I will see you next time.